I never thought betrayal would find a way into my marriage just 8 months after we exchanged vows. Not after all the years we had spent building something I thought was unshakable. Yet here I am, staring at the ruins of my trust, trying to make sense of how the person I love most could hurt me in a way that feels almost surgical, precise, deliberate, and cold. It was supposed to be a quiet evening. I came home early, hoping to surprise her with reservations at her favorite restaurant. Instead, it was me who got surprised. My wife wasn't home. No calls. No messages. At first, I dismissed it as her having a busy day. But as the hours passed, unease set in. When my calls went unanswered, an all-too-familiar anxiety took over, the kind that gnaws at your insides even when your brain is begging for rational explanations. It wasn't until past midnight that her phone finally pinged with a location update. She had shared her location with me a few weeks earlier after a minor scare downtown. The irony now stung. She wasn't at work. She wasn't out with friends. She was at an apartment building on the other side of town, an address I instantly recognized. It belonged to her ex-boyfriend. A storm of emotions raged in me, but denial was louder. Maybe it's innocent. Maybe they're just talking. But even as I tried to calm myself, my hands had already started shaking. I didn't want to go there. I didn't want to see what my heart already knew. When I reached the building, the weight of my footsteps was unbearable. I stood outside his door, heart racing, stomach twisting. Then, through the thin walls, I heard it, laughter, then a soft moan. My fists clenched. The air was thick, suffocating. My mind went blank. I don't even remember knocking. I just remember the door swinging open, and there she was, disheveled, wrapped in a blanket. Her eyes widened in horror when she saw me. His expression was colder, almost smug. My wife's lips quivered as she tried to form an excuse, but the silence between us said more than any words could. I turned and walked away. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just walked, feeling an emptiness that no words could ever fill. A few hours later, I got a call. She was in the hospital. Apparently, after I left, an argument between them escalated. He had been drinking, there was pushing, yelling, and she ended up hitting her head against the table. Now, she lay in a hospital bed, bruised and broken, not just physically, but emotionally too. When I visited her, she reached out to me with trembling hands, her eyes swollen with tears. She said she was sorry, that it was a mistake, that she didn't know why she did it, that it was a moment of weakness. All the things I had heard in movies, now spilling out of the lips of the woman, I thought would never hurt me. I wanted to comfort her. I wanted to be the man who stays, who forgives. But something in me had died that night. You can repair a cracked mirror, but you'll always see the fracture. This wasn't just a mistake. This was a choice. She chose to lie. She chose to deceive. And that choice cost us everything. Our families rallied around her. Friends reached out to me, asking me to be patient. They said forgiveness is noble, that people make mistakes. They said we were still newlyweds, that marriages take work. But none of them were there in that moment, when trust was shattered like glass underfoot. None of them knew the quiet, relentless ache of betrayal that gnawed at me in the stillness of night. Forgiveness, they said, is a virtue, but no one talks about the price it demands. Forgiveness without genuine remorse is just enabling. It's a bandage over a festering wound. She wanted to erase what happened, but the images are seared into my mind. Every word she says now feels scripted, rehearsed. She's not sorry she cheated. She's sorry she got caught. I loved her. That's the tragedy. I would have done anything for her. I believed in our vows, in the life we were building. But trust is the foundation of any relationship. Without it, love becomes a cage. Walking away isn't easy. People think it's a rash decision, but what they don't see is the endless nights I spent replaying every conversation, every moment, trying to pinpoint when things started to go wrong. They don't hear the silence that greets me every morning, or the weight that settles in my chest when I remember the life we had planned. But I refuse to be the man who stays out of fear. I refuse to be trapped in a cycle of doubt, always wondering where she is, who she's with, what she's doing. I deserve peace. I deserve honesty. She took that away from me. There's a peculiar kind of loneliness that comes from being surrounded by people urging you to forgive when you know deep down that forgiveness isn't enough. They call you heartless, cold, but they don't understand that sometimes walking away is the only act of love you can give to yourself. I don't hate her. I wish I did. Hatred is easy. It's clean. But I feel something worse. Pity? I pity the emptiness in her that led her back to someone who once broke her. I pity the years she'll spend trying to justify what she did to herself. And I pity the fact that she had someone who loved her deeply, fiercely, and she threw it away for a fleeting moment that cost her everything. My decision to leave her is irrevocable, not because I'm heartless, but because I finally understand my worth. Love isn't supposed to feel like a battlefield where you're constantly dodging bullets of betrayal. Love is supposed to be safe, honest, and she made it unsafe the moment she crossed that line. In the end, she will heal. The bruises will fade. She'll go on to tell herself a version of the story where she's the victim of a bad decision. But I'll move forward knowing that I chose myself when no one else would. That's a kind of peace I wouldn't trade for anything. Some wounds don't bleed. They just scar. And this scar, though invisible, is a reminder that even in the wreckage of betrayal, there's strength in walking away.